Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the A Change for Christ podcast. Today we're having a men and women debate. We will be discussing the following topics: knowing versus pursuing God, trauma, habits, desirability, significance of a woman, and masculinity. So, Ambi, did you want to start off with your question, or you want me to go ahead and just read one of the questions to start us off? Before we do start off with the questions, I want everyone to, of course, go around and introduce themselves and tell their age. I'm Deja, and I am 27.
Yes. I am Amber. I am 38.
I'm Shamarilyn and I'm 40.
I'm JJ and I'm 21.
I'm Kevin. I'm 49.
I'm Raylan. I'm 26.
Okay, great. So, my question is, first question, what is a trauma that we normalize that we shouldn't normalize? What is a trauma that we pass down to generations that we normalize and we shouldn't? I can answer my own question if y'all want to.
You gotta give us a second to think. That was a little deep for the first.
I take a shot at it. I think, like I said, trauma is like when people, as a race of people, I can speak. Like my parents, if they didn't go to college or they was living in poverty or they was walking around with a chip on his shoulder, they kind of passed that down to their kids because sometimes you're a product of your environment. So I think if you're raised in a certain environment, you kind of pass that down to your kids.
So yeah, I agree with that. I do believe that how we speak about our kids and how we raise our kids is a form of trauma that we consider normal. I do believe in discipline. However, I don't believe in just disciplining and not explaining why you're disciplining your kid. And I feel like we need to also get out of always yelling at our kids because that's when they become adults that yell at other people too, and they think that's normal, and it's not. And I'm just gonna speak for me as a kid. Once you start yelling at me, I'm not listening. And not because I just don't want to be obedient, but as adults, if somebody woke up to you yelling at you, are you going to listen to them? No, you're not. You're automatically going to shut off and get defensive because who are you yelling at? So don't you think kids operate kind of the same way? If you automatically walk up yelling at them, they're already like, oh, I don't got time for this. And they already shut off to what it is that you're trying to tell them. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. There's many other things too. Also, I feel like in not just Black families, I've heard these too. I actually had this conversation at work with a lady. We tend to protect predators and families rather than speaking up and helping the child. Because, as we grow up, we're like, oh, so-and-so's coming over, you need to go put on some clothes. So-and-so's coming over, you don't need to wear that shirt. Then so-and-so don't need to be coming over if we got to do all that. Or you can't go over so-and-so's house and you never explain to the kid why. Why? Because uncle or whoever is a predator, but no one is looking at the fact that maybe uncle needs to go somewhere. And why are we like walking on eggshells around this person?
I agree with you on that. I kind of wanted to add, I feel like we need to stop sugarcoating the truth to our kids sometimes, in the simple fact of kids just want to understand. That's why they ask questions. The point of stay at a grown folks' business or we talking. Like some kids just want to fit in, but also kids just they act out because they don't get attention. And I feel like being truthful with your kids and kind of agreeing with you when you said disciplining, but not telling them the reason. Like teaching them the value of why certain things are the way they are for the simple fact of a kid is only a kid until they become an adult. So I feel like as a parent, I feel like at least with me, I wish I was taught the value to see it in an adult way, even as a kid, so that I don't grow up as an adult making kid mistakes that I should have made when I was a kid.
Um, can I just chime in on that real quick? I do understand that as a kid you want to understand things and figure things out in that adult way, but there's a line. Like a child should stay in a child's place as well as the adult should as well. Now that doesn't mean you can't show them things, but you can't show them everything. They're not old enough to take in the information, especially when you're dealing with struggle, when y'all dealing with different things that they don't understand. Like, Daddy, why you gotta drive me to school? Why I can't ride the school bus? Or why I can't get the same type of lunch that the other kids get? Like it's different types of things that they not ready for yet. So you don't have to be, and people say discipline, they think that means whippings. Well, discipline is not whippings. It's you rectifying what has went wrong with the child. But you cannot treat them like they're not a child because then they're gonna start overstepping. You have to understand how to parent. I mean, I'm not a parent myself, but I know as a child, I understand that some things I just can't do. I can't just disrespect the adults just because I feel a certain type of way. So
Okay. So I to chime in. I like the way this conversation is going, but the reason I couldn't actually chime in on the question is because I didn't really understand what we consider trauma. Because that was the original question: is a trauma that we, what was the question, like cover up or that we deal with that you normalize. So that's why I was like, what are we considering trauma? So I actually just had to Google trauma so that I knew what we were talking about. So it says trauma is an emotional response to a stressful, frightening, or distressing event that is difficult to cope with or out of one's control. So I think sometimes now we use that word trauma on things that are probably technically not trauma. Sometimes, in my question that I had was kind of coincides with this. Sometimes it's things that are just hereditary or things that we're taught, which might not be, the best things, but sometimes it's things that we're taught. We gotta kind of go back and change our mindset on things that we were taught. I don't think that we would be considered trauma, but some of those things are stressful things that families pass down, and we do it and we normalize it because hey, that's how my mama told me to do it, or my mama yelled at me, so I yell at my kids. So I get where the conversation was going. So I just say sometimes it's not trauma, sometimes it's things that are taught, and we just do those things not knowing why we do it. So we got to change our mindset, especially when you become an adult and you have kids and you notice, okay, I didn't like when my mama did this to me, so why would I then do it to my kids?
Okay, I'm gonna chime in on it. Like what she's saying, like changing your mindset on certain stuff. Like when we grew up, our parents didn't say "I love you" and stuff like that. They not really affectionate like that. But I know my mom and my daddy love me by the things that they do. But my kid, I tell him I love him every single day. Before I leave in the mornings, he come out, walk in the morning. Sometimes when I go to work, he come out and walk me out to my car and give me a hug and say I love you. And she was telling me one day, she like, it's kind of weird because if you're not used to that or don't see that all the time, it's weird to you because that's not how you grew up or that's not how people showed you affection. But I'm like, I'm trying to learn that I want to teach my son a different way of being affectionate and showing people that he love them and that he care about them and stuff like that. And I'm like, I know my parents love me, but even now, it's still hard for us to say I love you to my daddy or my mama. or give them a hug or something, because it's awkward and feel weird because that's not what we are used to doing. So some of it is just passed on behavior, and you can try to change that, in your own life with your own kids.
Because I know one of the questions I have here is, are these things, I consider trauma along the same lines as habits in the family, because it could be a trauma thing would be a habit, and a habit can turn into a lifestyle. So, in your opinion, are these things mostly taught, or they just picked up?
I want to say both because at a certain point it was taught, but as a kid they can pick up on things, and kids are impressionable. So if they are watching you and your spouse yell at each other all the time, they're going to pick up on that, and then they're going to start doing that, and or they pick up on how you communicate things, or if you don't communicate things, they're going to pick up on that and think that's normal, and it's not. So I'll say both.
I got a question on that same topic. And is it on? Anyway, as like I said, if it's picked up on or taught, what if two women raise a little girl? Is she gonna marry another woman, or she would marry a man? Or if two men raise a son, what he gonna think? He gonna marry another man, or he gonna marry a woman? That's a lot of questions that people ask me, and I'm like, that's hard to answer. But I think if what you see as a child, you think that's normal. So I'm thinking if two women raise a little girl, most likely she's gonna get another woman. And if two men raise a boy, I think he think being with another man is normal.
Oh,
We all want to chime in on it.
That's kind of like a loaded question. However, we do, the way we were raised and what we see is most likely who we become.
That's right.
So whatever seems normal in your life,
That's right.
that becomes normal to you growing up. And we see these things. And that's be like, I got another loaded question after that, but I'm gonna let them answer that.
Yeah, I want to answer that question I just asked.
So I am actually close with someone that decided to take another route with her dating life. But she grew up around people that wasn't like that, and she still turned out that way. So I don't think it would be more normalized for them, but they would still go after what they really want to go after, because their parents aren't the only ones that influence them. They go to school, they be around other kids' parents, so it could or could not. I don't think that it really.
So you saying if a child see that day in and day out, they want to take effect on them? Go ahead, Abby.
I think the most important thing that the child will probably see is love, and whoever that's displayed with. So, and it's really what they're teaching them. Because I'm pretty sure if they're married, man, woman, whatever, that they're not intentionally telling their child that this is how it should be. That's just what the child is going to see. But the first thing they're going to see is their parents loving each other. And I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to tell their child, that they can love whoever they want. Now, that I'm pretty sure that's how they're going to explain it. That's giving the child many options, but they're going to eventually find that out for themselves. I don't think it's just they going to automatically say, well, my mama's with the woman, that's what I'm going to do. I don't think that's.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna leave it on because it's I think people texted me. They just said it about the question. But listen, that's the problem with churches and people. Right is right. Stop me when I'm lying, Pastor. Right is right, wrong is wrong. We all have some people probably in our family that's like that, but that don't mean you make it right. So with a woman and a man with a man, that's wrong. The Bible speaks to that. So people try to brush it underneath the rug because they got people in their family. But right is right and wrong is wrong.
I mean,
Uh,
oh, wait.
Am I lying, Pastor?
Can I-
Please. You are right. Right is right, wrong is wrong. But that's not the only thing that goes on within families that we should be speaking
I
about.
feel like
I know that, but
I feel like
We're not trying to change the
I feel
subject.
like if we bringing it back to the logical sense of what we were actually talking about, because I feel like we getting off on an emotional tangent. So if we being logical, a child is gonna do what they see. That's just what it is. They may choose what they want to later on down in the future, but it's they're gonna do mostly what they see. So if that's not what they choose, that's their decision. But that doesn't change the fact that the probability of them doing that is higher. But that's it. No more other, it ain't no feelings about that.
I'm not gonna say
You
feelings,
know?
but I'm gonna just say right is right and wrong is wrong, like you said, true. But at the end of the day, who are we to judge? Because I'm like, at the end of the day, I don't have a heaven or hell to put nobody in.
Yeah, I
So
ain't
however you
judge.
choose to live your life, that's your life. It really have nothing to do with me.
Look, I'm not judging. The Bible speaks to that. They didn't make Adam and
I
Steve.
understand.
They made Adam and Eve. So what I'm saying is, go ahead. I'm gonna say that I'm leaving alone. I get the emotion because if I see, listen, I'm just gonna be honest with you. If you whatever y'all do, gays, lesbian, that's y'all business. But what I'm saying is, I don't condone that. I don't lift that up because it's wrong, and I don't want to see two men with two men, and I don't like to see two women with two women. Go ahead, Pastor.
Kevin, that's fine. You
But
don't
that's
have to-
wrong, though. You should be in the church with that.
You don't have to condone it. You have your right to say it's not right or
It's
whatever.
not my right. That's
But
the Bible says that.
at the end of the day, like Pastor said, we gotta love everybody. So
Yeah,
it doesn't
you
matter
sure
how
do.
they live or whatever they doing. I'm still gonna love you because of who you are, no matter how you choose to live your life.
But it's still
All right,
wrong.
next question.
And
Pastor.
God, no. I won't
It's
pass
fine.
ask that question. No. I won't pass ask that question.
Let me speak, man. Let's just go back to the original. A man with a man, a woman with a woman, they have a son. What does the son believe in? I feel like that's where God comes in play, and I feel like he reveals himself in everybody's life. I feel like a child is gonna do what a child sees until the child becomes an adult.
That's right.
Once he becomes an adult, he makes a better decision, which is a more mature decision because he is now an adult or she is now an adult. God's going to reveal himself in everybody's life. If the child follows God, he will see right from right. Obviously, if two sexes are the same and they come together, they're probably going to pursue on the child, love whoever is fine. But it's up to the child to make the decision, is it really fine? Because if he knows God or if she knows God, they will follow his teachings. And as followers of Christ, if we know God, we can love other people who condone in that, but we can't accept it. So as
Correct.
to love it,
That's right.
we should try to come with gentleness to try to help change it.
So I agree
right.
with all that you said. I agree with it.
Now I'm gonna say that I'm through with it, Pastor. Now I got nieces and nephews. If my nephew come with this man, tell me this is my man over here, I'm gonna say, let me talk to you. Now you can stay over there with that. Now I still love you, but it's not right. And you're not gonna be hanging around me with them two men kissing each other. I'm just not gonna condone
I also
it.
feel
You
like
can go ahead.
I also feel like a lot of the times when people engage themselves in that, they become defensive because people are very offensive. I feel like sometimes words cut, but actions speak louder. So if we really want to show them the change, you can't always come to somebody and be like, hey, bro, look, this is what I know. Rather than just show them, how do you live your life?
That's what I'm saying.
If you godly, if you're not, if you follow the word, and then when the opportunity prevails itself, you prayed on it, you talk to God about it. How can I reveal this way to this person to show them this is not of you?
I have a question to ask you. So, with me doing my new business venture, I'm partnering with people, and I happen to come across a guy that does play for the other side, but he loves God a lot, and his daddy is a pastor. How do you feel? How do you feel? Do you feel like someone that loves the same sex can truly love and follow God?
Yes,
let me,
I say yes.
I feel like a lot of times, as well, I'm not gonna say it because whatever religion we're in or anybody's in, they like to play policeman or they want to police the system. It's like God gave everybody free will, but He allows there to be examples of what the right way is to follow. He doesn't just slap you in the face. He makes you aware, but He's not just going to be like, "Hey, just go do this." Like I feel like we as a people have to stop always feeling like we know what's best. Like at the end of the day, God has His own journey for people. Now, it may not be what we agree with, but God has told us to live in the way that He needs us to, so we can be an example to bring people in, to build that. We can't actively just be like, "Hey man, you need to stop this," because that's just not godly. God wouldn't even do that.
I
Yeah,
agree.
But that's
I
what
can
we
agree
come to
with that.
church for, is to teach people the right way. But that's
what
what wrong. Give me 10 more seconds. That's what wrong with a lot of churches. They sweep stuff underneath the rug. They want to benefit. They want to take a part of the Bible and gain for their own gain. But the Bible is black and white. And the thing about it is, to be truthful, if everybody be truthful, most people got that in their family. But that don't mean it make it right.
to go back
People got a
to
lot of things in their family that don't be right.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that
well, to
And
go
that-
yeah.
That's my 2 cents is that even though we may, the question was, can that person still love God?
Yeah.
Well, you can't say that person cannot love God.
Right.
Because we don't know that person's heart, first of
Right.
all. But we can say that person can love God because the drunken love God, the liar love God, the cheater love
That's what
God,
I was gonna say.
the
Yeah.
fornicator love God. They all say they love God. They sit right in church every Sunday.
Oh yeah.
So you can't isolate one sin and say it's not possible and not isolate every sin if that's the case. So we all going to hell
Pretty much.
if we don't get it right.
Yeah.
Not just the man and the woman relationship, we all going.
Yeah.
But to back up a little bit on what we talked about with the trauma thing from everybody on the panel, you guys have all been in relationships before. And your significant other, whether it be an ex-wife or wife, or ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, when you were dating that person or you was about to get serious with that person, did that person have some trauma in their lives that was a deal breaker, where you could not move forward because maybe the way they was reared or what they accepted in life or what they thought was normalized in their lives, and they wanted to bring that to you as though that's the correct way to live, or that's the correct way to be. And you said, no, I'm not bringing that with me. I got to walk out of this.
Absolutely.
Uh,
So, two things actually. Of course, we've all been done before. I've dated guys that literally wanted me to be their mother. And also, what I've learned is men, not all men, but most men nowadays, they will expect you to do the things that their mother did or how their mother operated and think that's normal. Well, my mom worked 2, 3 jobs. Why should I help you pay bills? Da, da, da. Okay, well that was your mom's problems. That's not my problem. And also now where I'm at and how much I've worked on myself, I'm not gonna tolerate somebody that don't have emotional intelligence. If you don't know how to communicate your anger or you don't know how to chill out, then no, you can take that elsewhere. Because
I
I'm
feel
not
like
doing all that.
I feel like the big thing we forgetting is we not going for nobody who wants a God. If those people are used to that, they clearly not submitting and following him, because like it say in the Bible, you were talking about it Wednesday, a man don't work, you can't eat. So it's like some teachings, all of them we should follow, but like you look at people by their fruits, like these different things. I want this from a woman. I want this from a, like that defines a man from a boy. Like you got to choose to be a man. Like you got to want to be better. You got to follow God, and he will like literally build you into something of what you're supposed to be. But then like you got to like look at the person you're with too and be like, okay, because I know God, are these things of him? And not saying you got to leave them because of it, but are they trying to separate themselves from those chains to follow him as well?
Okay, I can agree with that. I would say for me, I've been with my husband now 21 years, and we are both totally different people than we were when we first met. We both have grown and changed a whole lot. So I'm like, sometimes it's growth. And like, I know if I was still the same person that I was when we first met, we probably wouldn't be together. If he was still the same person that we was when we first met, we wouldn't be together now, because somebody can't stay stagnant and the other person is growing. It you both gonna have to change and adapt and grow. It's no way that you gonna be able to because you outgrow somebody. If that person is just stuck in same thing and you evolving, so it takes both of y'all to change and grow. You know, for me, now we at a place where like I don't even really have to tell him some stuff. It's just like he automatically will know. Or he don't have to tell me certain stuff because I automatically know. So you both have to adapt and grow.
So for
Before the next person answers, I know Lady J on watching that cricket video. Sign.
Oh,
Sign
the
right
sign.
there, she's gonna kill somebody. 'Cause I know she had no
Maybe.
sense. They need to bring that sign. She is OCD on stuff like that.
Pull your side.
There you go, that's better right there, all right. That is, Amber.
Yes, so to answer the question, I was with my ex-husband for 15 years. And looking back in hindsight, I do see that it was myself that probably had trauma. So I would say, knowing what I know now, I had no business getting married. And that's just knowing what now. I don't regret anything because it's definitely that got me to the place where I am now, where I can reflect and know what I will put up with and what I won't put up with, what I want in life moving forward. But yeah, absolutely. And I'm pretty sure you had trauma as well. So we had no business getting married. So I will say though that you have to know who you are. And I think that was my problem. Yeah. No business getting married. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Where I think a lot of people make a mistake is you gotta, yeah, you love yourself. But if you love yourself, you're gonna try to date somebody that's equal to you. But the problem with people is they want this guy that don't have a car, that don't have a job, and live at home with mama, and think he's gonna take care of you. But you're gonna make him out of a man. That's where a lot of people make a mistake. You gotta date somebody that can bring something to the table. Because most of the time, if they used to stand at home playing video games, that's what they're gonna do, play video games. They're not gonna be work. So you have to pick people that's equal to you that can bring something to the table.
Now, with that, I'm gonna let you go. With that being said, though, when you're young, you don't know those things. So that's part of the problem too. Is don't rush to jump into something as major as a marriage when you don't have it figured out yet. I understand, like she said, they figured it out together, but I'm pretty sure there was some hard times where you didn't know if y'all was gonna make it. Which I love y'all for y'all union, and I watched y'all grow, so I admire y'all. I couldn't make it, but that's just.
Every relationship don't end in a good end. Life happens. Go ahead.
I appreciate y'all responses on like, marriage. But if we dial it back a little bit and go back to relationships, when it comes to the trauma or the different bags that people are holding on when you come into a relationship, you have to understand that you're not perfect yourself. So when you're looking for what you want, you can't always be like, oh, all the I's and T's gonna be crossed. Like you're not gonna get that. But when you find something that you enjoy or that you want to be around, you kind of task yourself with kind of dealing with them a little bit, right? Because you want them to deal with you. So like you said, it's a process. You gotta grow, you gotta, change. You can't expect someone to be so good for you when you first meet them and they don't even know you for real. That doesn't make sense. So
Go but sometimes there's a red light that goes off.
Yeah, I mean, you got your line. You know, there's certain
You be
things.
so in love,
It's certain
you run all them red
I think
lights.
I think
but
I think
that's
sometimes
delusion.
I think sometimes there's a red light, but there's also a yellow light too. Like people forget before the red flag, sometimes it's a yellow flag. So you need to proceed with caution. But sometimes we have tunnel vision because we're interested and we're attracted that we cancel out that yellow flag until it be turned or turns into a red flag. And now we're stuck too deep. It's like, man, I shouldn't have done
The
this. But it's
yellow
like they
flag
showed
don't
you
mean
this from the
stop.
beginning. They showed you this from the beginning. And if you're not so in tune with your own trauma and yourself to see it, you're gonna allow that yellow flag to turn into red.
How we turn the
And it will.
That's right.
I was trying to play devil's advocate.
Everybody finish on that one?
Next question.
I'm gonna let it be.
Next question is this, which is a very good question, especially for you guys up there. Is marriage still desirable?
Nope. I'm gonna be real.
Yes.
When I say desirable, or marriage still a goal in most relationships?
So,
And it don't have to be the way you feel. I mean, how do you look
Okay.
at society as a whole?
um,
Are we leaning towards getting
No.
married now, or people just waiting a long time, or they're not rushing? It's just taking a while now for people to jump to marriage.
they're leaning towards having fun.
Right.
Because of social media.
Right.
And people are getting away from the actual value of what marriage is. They are now labeling it as just a piece of paper when it's more than that.
And a prenup.
That's correct.
And social media has allowed men and women to think that they can have whoever they want like that because it's so easy to DM people. And they forget the value of having that one special person that actually knows you, that you can battle life with, rather than having 10 men, women every now and then, and you don't even know their last name come in and out. And I feel like when I'm gonna speak from a woman's, because I'm not a man, but as a woman, once you start learning the value of what you hold and what you're giving away, you will stop that real fast. And learn the fact that not everybody deserves access to you, and it's actually disgusting how because that is something that is sacred. Then also these women out here that are just having babies just to have them or to keep a man, you don't realize what you're actually giving away and what you're actually doing, because for one, you're giving that your child him as a father, and then also like we spoke about trauma, what generational traumas are you now dumping onto your child because you were being irresponsible? So
It's not so much personal, but I feel generally in the world, like you said, marriage is not really something that we want to do. Mostly because everybody's so like hooked on doing their own thing and leaving everybody else behind. Like nobody wants to hold hands with nobody. But with the same token, people are taking people on wild rides, and now they done went through this long journey and they done got hurt, and now they feel horrible. And now they don't want to get married because now they feel like they're gonna get hurt. But the media now, I'm not gonna lie, they didn't did a number on like the youth, well, my generation too. I mean, it's a lot of people out here walking around feeling like they can't trust nobody. But how you gonna trust somebody if you don't give nobody the opportunity to be trusted too? So, but it's a lot going on in this world. It's a real chaotic time. I don't really even think people should really get married at this time. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Let me chime in on. I think as society now, young people don't want to get married, especially from a guy's perspective. Is they want to be a player, and then they got social media like Facebook. They're gonna try to talk to every woman they see. They don't want to commit. I think they think that's the old tradition. But back to God. That's God's way is getting married, and He bless your marriage. But now they took God out of everything. They can't even pray in school now. So what that being said is, I don't think in this society people wants to get married.
I agree. And I think, especially for the younger generation too, but I think even with the older generation now, I think they glamorize the wedding, but not the marriage. Like everybody got wedding goals, and I'm gonna have
Facts.
this many bridesmaids, and I'm gonna have all
Facts.
these flowers in this color, but then the marriage fails. So I think they glamorize that. Also with the younger generation, we got the city girls, we got sexy red, they all out here hot and all that kind of stuff. Younger girls looking at that. Why do I need to get married? I can get money. I don't gotta have no husband to do that. So they're not making the men want to marry them. Yeah, they're gonna have a good time with you, but they're not gonna settle down with you. And I think that's what's wrong with the younger generation is they want to be all these things, but when you get old, then you want to try to get the husband and all that. Yeah.
I also think our families got a big part in that too. I mean, a lot of us don't
Yeah.
have the same, well, both parents in the house, and that'll show the kids that that's normal. Like when I was little, I've always wanted that perfect household. But then when I was before I went through the situation of, you know, having them separate, I was like, oh man, I'm living the good life. My classmate over here, they dad gone. Oh man, I'm better than that. But that's where God taught me a lesson when I was little. And then I had to watch my family fall apart. And then in turn, that makes me think later on down the line, like, man, like if this is how everybody's thinking nowadays, maybe I don't need to be married. Maybe I don't even need to go through what I just, you know.
So I want to read a comment from the live. Robert Briggs said, divorce rates are currently 60%. With young people seeing this, does this detract? I can't see. I think it's a crack in my phone. But from them from marriage. So I would say
No.
well, you
No.
know, these podcasts, that's all they talk about those statistics. And so I will say if people would stop always focusing on the negative and focus on the positive and what works for them, I feel like marriage rates would go up and divorce rates would go down because we spend our time focusing on what other people could not do instead of focusing on what they could do. I don't know if y'all heard the theory of like the black dot in the middle of the white paper, and 90% of people are going to focus on the black dot and not the white paper, and that's exactly what we do. We look at like trauma bonds, generational curses. We keep passing that down. Oh, well, my mom and dad weren't married. Why should I? Or da da da. What does that have to do with you, though? Why are you comparing yourself to what they couldn't figure out? Why not learn from them and try and go fix it and reverse it? But instead, as a society and social media, everybody wants to play a victim. And life is hard for everybody. We all got to figure it out. So are we going to keep focusing on the negative, or are we all going to start focusing on the positive and what works for us and just let everything flow how it's supposed to flow?
I feel like if divorce rates were 99%, I would still want to get married. For the simple fact of, because I know who God is and I know what he does. I know what he can deliver me through. And so it's like the world could be this way, but when you know God, you know you're not of the world. So the world is going to be like that regardless. I feel like God put a different value on marriage, like how you're saying people don't see it like that anymore. They see the paper, they see the prenup, they see commitment, but they don't know what the word means.
They're just like they have devalued God. That's what they're doing to all of his sacred things.
Mm-hmm.
They are like, oh, everybody wants to make jokes now about going to hell, or they don't really take God serious. And I saw, and I shared it, like a girl, she said, God is the only person that has a 100% track record, and he's the least trusted. Yet you would go trust somebody that's already done you wrong a million times. And if people really read the Bible or say they want to follow God like they're supposed to, you would know that he will give you what your heart desires. And if you desire a healthy marriage, that's what you're going to get. But you're not going to get it if you're steady looking elsewhere and not at God.
I think it's the case of we speak English, but we don't speak the language of God. And because we don't know his language, it's foreign to us. You'll listen to a podcast from somebody who talks like you, looks like you, sounds like you. But if somebody said it in Spanish, you better turn it off. So, facts, you won't know what they're saying. And so, like, I feel like the only way to know that is, again, to go back to the Bible, because it is the word of God. But because people consider the Bible a book, a bunch of stories, technically not written by, like, if you just read it, you understand every problem in the world is in there. Like everything like there's no way somebody in the Old Testament was talking about this and describing this experience. Somebody in the New Testament was talking about the same thing in the same type of scenario. Oh, we want to say these people switched it up, but there's just God's words can't be switched up. That's why Jesus spoke in parables, because the followers would get it and the unbelievers wouldn't understand. They would change it, rearrange it, but like they wouldn't understand. So like it just, to me, it's like I look at my society and I look at what the people do. Like I had to delete social media because it's like I was focusing on things that didn't matter. Like, why does it matter if, I don't know, Ice Spice came out with a new hit song and everybody is bumping and grunting to the same, and it's like, okay, if you call yourself an influencer, what are you really influencing? Like, what good are you doing in the community? And it's like we don't have strong examples in our generation of godly people.
That's right.
But the ones that are, oh, it's the same old stuff I learned in church. I'm turning it off. But there's a lot of cool young people like you who follow the word and they speak different. But because of what you see more, you follow that more.
Let me elaborate on that. I think the woman has more power than she give her self-credit for. I talked to this guy and this girl, and I said, how long? I said, y'all gonna get married? Oh yeah, we're gonna get married one day. I said, how long y'all been dating? 10 years? I said, you've been dating 10 years. I said, you come and let me talk to you. I said, you allow this man to do you like that. That's why he's dating you. Because if you put it in his head, you want to get married one day and give him a timeline or that's what you want out of life. I think a man will go the other way or you'll go the other way. But if you allow men to do certain things to you without getting married, that's a red flag, like Pastor say, and women have a lot of power. It's the way you carry yourself and where you allow people to treat you.
And a lot of the times you really got to just talk to them, man, because some men will tell you they don't want to get married.
That's right.
And you still go for them.
Oh, you know.
Along those same lines, because we're going back to what Kevin was mentioning earlier about man and man, woman and woman, what the child sees. In my life, I've got 20 plus years now of marriage, and I know I cannot attribute making it that long without a loving wife.
That's right.
Because I messed up, everything. I did everything in the book that was probably wrong. But yet, some kind of way she forgave me and we moved on and we stayed married. I can only attest that to at the end of this month. My mother and my father-in-law will be married for now 69 years. And that's almost unheard of. We've been married 69 years. And so I can attribute my own marriage based on the way my wife looked at her parents' marriage. She reverenced marriage more than I did. She respected marriage more than I did. And she knew what she wanted in life. So she was willing to put up with me, to save old rich like me.
That's right.
So that she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, basically.
That's right.
And we worked through those things. So saying that, do you have examples in your life that you look up to as far as marriage or relationships that have helped you to prepare yourself to be better, at the same time eliminated those negative people in your life that you grew up with, and able to separate the two because you have changed your mindset and knowing where you want to be and who you want to be?
Let me give me 10 seconds on that. You're right, Pastor. That's why your mind, when you get a certain age, what your mama and daddy did to you, you gotta let that go. You have to surround yourself with positive people. And if your mama and daddy wasn't married for a long time, you got to find somebody that you look up to or trust and look at their relationship if they've been married. Because a lot of people want to do the pity party. Oh, my mama and daddy wasn't married, so I ain't gonna get married. Oh, my mama and daddy did this and did that. You got to throw that out the window. So you have to surround yourself with positive people and change your mind thinking. And you have to take initiative for yourself to do the right thing, especially when you call yourself a child of God. And God don't, it's okay for dating for a certain period, but God honors marriage. And if you love God, you're going to do the right thing.
So I'll say, look, my mom and dad have been together, I think, 45 years. They are not married. Most people don't even know that, but they're not married. Now, when I was growing up, I didn't desire marriage either. I really didn't even know. It was like one of those things where if I do, I do, but it wasn't a desire for me. Now, with that being said, it was the opposite for me. I probably stayed in an unhealthy marriage because I wanted to say, I'm going to be with somebody and I'm going to have a family. So it wasn't a good example for me because I used that as motivation to stay somewhere that I should not have been.
Um, to answer your question, God has, well, going back, just backtracking, like, of course, I journal, I pray about certain things, and God has placed certain people and placed me in certain environments where I have been able to see healthy marriages and people that really walk the talk. So I'm just grateful for that because as growing up, I didn't really see that. And like you said, my grandparents, they've been together, but they're not married. And I don't know if that would be the relationship I would want because I want my marriage to look a certain way and operate in a certain way. And of course, I want my husband to be a man of God and to carry himself in a way. So God has really blessed me with putting me in an environment and have mentors who are married that is helping me with that. And I'm able to really speak with him and his wife. And also she teach me because you can't just be praying for things and not get yourself ready for what you're praying for. So if I want that certain type of man, I have to become a certain type of woman. And I know a lot of women say that they want to be married, but are you ready to be a wife?
Right.
I would say too,
Mm.
like what she said, I never really desired to be married either. It was kind of like, if I get married, I get married. If I don't, I don't type of thing. But he actually asked me to marry him like 3 times before I even said yeah or whatever. And then when we got married, we just went to on our own to the courthouse. Didn't tell nobody. Nobody even knew. We was already married for like 2 weeks. Like we waited till we got everything back to go and tell everybody we was married. Cause I'm like, it's just the choice that you, when you know, you know. And it's your, you know, you'll do it if that's your choice and what you feel is right. So I'm like, our parents been together, like she said, for like 45 years and they not married, but clearly us growing up in the house and all that, you know what people go through, you see what people go through. So clearly I know they love each other. Cause like you said, you see, you know what people go through. And in order for y'all to stay through some things, you know they have to love each other. So I don't know why. Whatever works for people, I guess that's what works. Cause I'm like, I don't know why they wouldn't get married. And we ain't never really asked or talked about it. But you know.
I feel like I've seen both sides. My grandparents been married. I feel like it's almost 50, whatever years. And then I seen my mom. She was married to my dad before I was born because of circumstance, but then he died when I was at a young age. And so I feel like that kind of brought she didn't really want to do it again. And so I've seen her be with a person and they're not married. So I've seen both sides, but I had to choose for myself what I wanted. And that choice came from my desire for God because of what he wants. And we say that's what brings him joy. That's what he likes. He wants you to, if you feel the need to love somebody, marry them. you know, and like in my situation, okay, like that's what I want as well. Like you can't be in this long lasting relationship with somebody, marriage, friendship, any of these things, and God hasn't revealed himself in that friendship. Those people haven't uplifted your spirit and even brought you closer to him. I mean, maybe it can, but then that's where you get people who've been together 20 years and it's always toxic. They always throwing stuff at each other. They always cussing each other out. But like a godly relationship doesn't look like that. And I feel like we go back to trauma, the trauma and the fear that we have of man doesn't have us fear God. So we end up fearing man. And so like because of that trauma, we can't bring ourselves to overcome and take that next step. Because in the back of our head, we're like, well, this happened to me when I was this age. So it's still gonna happen. But like then it's showing, well, if you have trauma, you can't have faith. Because that goes out the door. Because God knows it's gonna take you time for him to trust him. Because trust comes through time and different data that you get. But you gotta have faith regardless that whatever he's doing in your life is good. And so, like, if this person, you know, okay, they desire him, and you desire him too, and y'all coming together, and y'all think, man, we love each other, we gonna do this the right way, because it's like it brings him joy too, and we know we're gonna be secure, we're gonna be fine. We ain't gonna be perfect because we're human, but we're gonna be fine. And like that's just something. Like you said, he knows your heart posture. He knows what you truthfully want. So it's like, if you want a marriage, he's going to show you, but he's also going to show you, like, again, are you even a husband, but you say you are? Are you even a wife, but you say you are? Like, yes, you have qualities, but how do you walk? Walking is every day. You're your own preacher 24/7. So, like, how do you handle certain situations? And these certain people are going to make these things come out of you. And if they're bad, you have to recognize that yourself, like, you know what, this needs to be fixed before I get into this. This needs to be changed, because if I bring that into a relationship, that's how it's going to end up like the last one.
I mean, piggyback on what Pastor said. When I asked my wife to marry me, she told me no. She said, you got a history and you got a bad reputation. I said, you sure got that right. I said, but just give me a chance. You go out with me one time. And if you like me, we can keep dating. But if you don't, I'll never bother you again. But like what Pastor said is, my wife is very religious. And everybody know her. She was in the church and I was still running the streets. But you know, they say opposite attracts. But I said that to say this. I love my wife now more than I did when I married her, because of what she put up with me and the way she treat me. We've been married 15 years. So that's not a long time, but it is a long time, especially in this generation. So I thank God that I'm married. And like Jeremiah said, is when you do the right thing, I'm going to let, well, y'all know me. And when I married my wife, Amy, I think you said, I can't believe they know each other. I never saw that coming. I mean, how we met. What I'm saying is, when you do the right thing, God will bless you. I had a talk with Hollywood and Lil Mike today. I hope y'all watching. We had a heart-to-heart talk. And he asked me, how do I do things? Why do I go to church? How my relationship with the pastor? And I almost had him in tears, and I almost in tears because of what God has done for me. And I said, if I tell you everything God has done for me, you wouldn't believe it, because I still don't believe it. But I love God when the Bible speaks, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust God with all your heart. And what's the other? Lean not on your understanding. So if you do that, he will direct your path in the right way. So and you know, y'all know Hollywood and Lil Mikey. And Hollywood was in tune, and I told him I love him when I got through speaking to him. But like Pastor said, you have to show people that you care about them. Like my wife, she's the perfect woman for me. So she makes me want to do better. And because the love she has for me and I love I have for her, but we got one thing in common. We love God. And she's the reason that I go to church, because the love that she showed me for God, so I have the love for God too now.
We had any closing statement from anybody? We got more questions, but I guess you got more information. You have any final thoughts from anybody tonight?
I just want to say, we were just talking about the example. My grandparents were are a great example of what marriage looks like to me, because of how realistic they are with themselves and their relationship. And it makes them love each other more when you're realistic with yourself. If you like somebody and you enjoy them, then that's what you deal with. You don't keep looking for when they're going to be perfect. And then you will start learning to love what God has given you. They didn't think they were going to be married. As far as I'm concerned, they wasn't even trying to do that at first. They were just friends. But with time and you being realistic with yourself and knowing your faults, then that's what it looks like to be married. And a lot of us just don't have that right now, the youth, because we're not being realistic with ourselves.
Okay.
I'm gonna say one other thing, like, you know, Pastor,
Give him 10 seconds.
like Pastor Robert Brake, myself, you know, you want to be a role model, and it's a lot of
Lady J said, "Keep going."
Ah.
Lady J said, "Keep going."
Keep going.
well, let me say this. Well, let me say this, Pastor. Like, you know, Pastor Robert Brake, myself, other good men in here, you want to be a role model, but that's a lot of pressure, because you don't want to do nothing to make the next person fail. And because as a, you know, growing up, you didn't have many role models, or you thought a person was a role model and they wasn't living the right way because they wore a big chain or whatever. But if you in that position and you're a role model, you're supposed to do the right thing, because if you do the wrong thing, you might make somebody else fail.
And then I think as a role model, like just off of like the man I want to become, like I feel like the biggest thing is, you know, whatever decision you make, you should be confident in it, whether you mess up or you don't. I feel like it's cool to see every now and then your role model fail, because then you get to see how they deal with it. And that truthfully will tell you if they're your role model or not. Because when everything is perfect,
People look good to you when everything's perfect.
exactly,
But everything
people
ain't
look
always
good.
gonna be perfect.
And everything's not going to be perfect. So if you see your role model struggle, if they get in debt, if they go through a breakup, how do they handle that? And it's going to show you, okay, wait a minute.
And not only that, it show you that if you go through something, that you're able to get through it. If you
Exactly.
see somebody else going through something and they can get through it, that let you know. And plus,
And
you're not the only person going through.
Give
and
you
being
hope.
around the right people, you realize 90% of the problems are really not that bad. And it's
You got it.
always
Facts.
there is always a way out. Always.
Facts. You always have a
You
choice.
just gotta look for it.
And it's always somebody doing worse than you.
Yes, sir.
If you don't believe it, we can get in my truck and go
Yes,
up
sir.
to, over
Stop
to
it.
Fort Worth to go
Stop.
into Breed.
Hey.
They sleeping. You got homeless people sleeping in the bread, but you mad because you can't eat a steak. Get you a sandwich one day. It's all right to eat a sandwich every once in a while.
Yeah, I think,
Anybody else got another closing statement?
I was gonna leave them with this, but since they want us to keep going, Lady J said it's too good to stop. Y'all on the roll, very encouraging. So okay, I guess we can't go home yet. But I was just gonna say, just I would just say, people really please start focusing on the good in your life, because there's always good, no matter how bad it may seem, and stop looking at these people on the internet and thinking that that is reality, because it's not. People that post like everyday life videos, they prep for that. They plan for that. They clean up their
Facts.
house to make it look presentable for that.
Really
Not-
dirty. I'm sorry.
So don't look at, first of all, stop comparing yourself to other people, because that robs you of your joy. And then really just start, if you really believe in God and you believe he is able to do what he's already shown us millions of times what he can do, what are you worried about, and why are you comparing yourself to somebody else? He made you how you are for a specific task, and it's up to you to figure out what that task is. You can't figure that out if you're trying to be in somebody else's lane. So.
Last question. Two-fold question. What significance does a woman have to a man's walk? What significance? What role would it play? Significant role.
I could.
Does a woman have in a man's?
I can answer
I can
that
say a little bit.
because let me handle this, Daisy. Give me 10 seconds. I got a significant other there. Well, it plays a big part because behind every good man is a strong woman.
Yeah.
Because when you dealing with everything out here, you need that support at home that you encourage. You can make it. Let's pray about it. Point you in the right direction. You need that encouragement because dealing with life, the job, people is hard enough and stressful enough in itself. So if you got that strong woman, you can see your future being brighter. So because she supports you. But if you don't have that support system, that make it that much harder.
Like he said, we go into battle every day. We go into the world and fight a war every day. Eventually, we got to come back to home base, rejuvenate, readjust, resettle, relax, right? If we come back to a household and it's like going right back into the war, eventually that becomes your lifestyle. And as a man, it's not pride, but it can ruin how you feel on yourself. Okay, am I doing something wrong? I try to do these things right, but if you have that safeness when you come back home where I don't have to put on armor, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to be strong, right? I don't have to be judged. I can be vulnerable. I can be soft. I can be a little baby. I can, if I want to be held, I can be held. You know what I'm saying? I can be the big spoon. You know what I'm saying? I can be the little spoon. All these different things. And it's like, kind of how you said, it gives you the reassurance like, okay, it doesn't matter what I go through. I know what I'm coming back to. You know what I'm saying? And like, it's the same for a woman as well, because you want those things too. You go out into battle and deal with something. You want to come home to a husband who's gonna be able to take care of you and lead you the way, and you don't have to waver on his judgment if, okay, does he know what he's doing or not? Because if he follows God and he's being led by God, then you can submit to him because you know he's going to lead you in the right direction. And as a man, if you're not being led by God, how do you expect to lead?
Same question to the women.
Yes. I think if I was speaking for myself personally, and this is my PSA for anybody out here, I'm gonna sell myself a little bit. No, but honestly, I think it's just
not a dating show.
we should be a safe space, a safe place. Like I think most men probably are tough exterior and they have to be that all day. So when you come home, yeah, you want a safe space where you can, leave all of that outside and have your spouse there. Also, I think though our spouses should be a reflection of us if this is truly your spouse. So I think, the same love that you put out or energy you put out should be sent back to you. So if we have that, that's all you need. That's my significance is I'm giving you the same energy that you're giving me.
Wait, so are we speaking from like just? Well, I will. I'll speak for myself. Cool. So kind of similar to what she said, and like they say, be his peace. I'm also the type that I will intentionally learn him, so that way, if I see I could tell if his walk is different, that something's wrong. Like that's how much I try to learn, and also like I want him to be able to come home and that's it. Like I got everything else. Even if he whenever he falls short, I should automatically know what to do to get him back up. And then of course, communication. We should be able to talk about any and everything, and I be his therapist, his friend, whatever. And also, know how to love him in his love languages and vice versa. I also want to be able to push him and support him in whatever it is that he's trying to do, or be like his little secret weapon, I guess, in the background, helping him, holding him up, and holding it down. So that's just my thing.
So I would say, like we talked about this one day, I feel like it's go both ways. Cause there are some days that if I'm having a bad day or I'm going through, your spouse should be able to step in. It don't matter what it is, if it's financial, if you're sick, whatever, they should be able to take over and step in until you in a good place, and vice versa. If he going through or whatever, and I know if I gotta step in and do whatever until he get in a good space. Cause I'm like, a lot of times each person, you know that person well enough to know, like she said, when something is wrong. And everybody go through. Like I have my days where I just don't even want to talk to nobody. I just want to be just left alone. And he know that. And so if I'm having a day where I just want to be left to myself and just have my peace, he let me do that. Or if he having a day or whatever like that, like sometimes that's just you got to give that person their space. They give you your space.
I also think like we should also want somebody who can give us constructive criticism and we don't get defensive about it. Um, because some people's judgment we can't trust. But if it's your person, your partner, they should be able to call you out when you're wrong. Because not all the times we're right. We just think we are. And if they notice, okay, well, okay, so I got into a situation, this is what happened, da, 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 da. They look at you, okay, well, why did you handle it like this? And you be like, okay, wait a minute. But you have to be secure in yourself to take that as an improvement because how they love you. And to know that if they didn't love you, they probably wouldn't tell you. They probably would have just been your yes man, would have went with it. And like again, that makes you feel more secure because you know, okay, yeah, this is my person for real. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody can call you out on something and you listen. Your parents yell at you all the time and you still go out and do what you need to do. But if your partner knows how you are and they deliver it to you in the way where it's like, you right, my bad, then you can take accountability and vice versa. It just goes to show how strong in the end you guys are. Because not everything is gonna be sunshines and rainbows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, our home should be our sanctuary. Our partner should be that one person that should be able to accept constructive criticism. You should be able to be open. You shouldn't have to wear masks. You shouldn't have to be fake. You shouldn't have to put on different things. You should be able to be home and be open to your place of peace. But likewise, church should be your place of peace. You should want to go to church and be around people who make you feel comfortable and safe when you walk into that environment. So just as your home is a place of peace, your church should be a place of peace. And sometimes we as Christians, we cause havoc that's unnecessary in our place of peace. When people have had a long week at home, and your sanctuary at home might not be all at peace. When you come to the house of the Lord, you should be at peace. There should be something there that calms you down or puts you into a situation in life where you're okay, that you're calmed down. You're not worried about anything when you're in the sanctuary of God. Amen? So tonight we got some very good questions, some very good answers. And I think you all deserve to give yourself an applaud or applaud each other. Do we have any questions from you guys? Or comments from you guys? Everybody's good?
Hey,
Y'all got any?
Did you enjoy it? Or was everything good for you? But they can't hear you at home. You got that. I got it.
Yeah, it was a really good conversation. But I did want to say just a little bit back whenever we were talking about the relationships and looking for spouses. And when Kevin went back and said that the Lord has it already set in the Bible where how you find your spouse. So it's about looking for the fruit. Reading Ephesians Ephesians 5 shows the woman what a man is supposed to be to her. Proverbs 31 shows the man how a woman is supposed to be for him. So I just think about going back to the fruit and testing them by their fruit to know if that is your person or not. So I just want to share that.
Thank you all, those online viewers who watch tonight. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. Thank you, panel, for doing an excellent job. And I can't wait to continue. We got more questions on this. Part 2. And I know with part 2, it's going to be some challenging questions that's going to force you guys to challenge each other. And it's going to spike up some debates that may cause somebody to want to jump over the table. I want you to be real. Just be yourself.
That's
But
right.
it's going to force you to want to jump across the table and do like Nehemiah say, I'm putting hands on you. I'm laying hands on you. So audience, tune in next week. I guarantee you, you're going to love it. Peace out. Y'all have a good one from a Change for Christ podcast. We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Good night.